So late last year, we drove one of the most exciting cars to be launched, the Porsche Cayman GT4. Now, as good as that car is, it might not be everyone's cup of tea. So what if you wanted the same recipe, but something a little bit softer, something that can let you feel the wind in your hair? Well, say hello to the 718 Spyder. With this car, you get all the thrills and all the fun that you get in the Porsche Cayman GT4. The only difference is you can now feel it through your hair. So as much as Porsche wants to please all consumers, they are still Porsche at the end of the day, which means that performance is their ultimate focus. And that is why, with this car, it's not an automatic roof, so it's not simply a case of putting a button and the roof goes down. Instead, you have to do certain things manually, which might be a bit tricky if it starts raining, but it also makes the car just that much more special. In the interest of not burning my skin, believe it or not, dark skin does burn, and in the interest of fashion, I'm going to do this now, because why not? So, just to refresh your memory, we have got a 4-liter flat-six engine that produces 309 kilowatts and 430 newton meters of torque. Now you might think that sounds a bit weird. Surely I should be saying 420 newton meters, but it's 430 in this car as it's got the PDK gearbox, so Porsche have given it an extra 10 newton meters. So to me, this car does not speak to the same audience. The GT4 is for that kind of buyer who wants to stay hardcore, wants to shift gears, and wants to feel a part of the process all the time. This car is the car that answers the questions for those who want to drive this car every day. Because as much as we love that Cayman GT4, the reality is that day to day, it does get a bit tedious with the manual gearbox. But now, we've got a lovely double clutch PDK gearbox that changes gears faster than you can think. We need to remember that this is not a turbocharged vehicle, so you need to work a bit harder for your power. All the power sits at the top of the rev range. And in a manual car, if you're not shifting gears quickly enough, you can easily fall out of that power band. But with this, bang, 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 I'm always in that power band, and I've always got a smile on my face. So for the purists out there, you might think a convertible is not for me. It messes with the dynamics of the car. The car doesn't feel as solid as it should. And we all know that there's a thing called scuttle shake, as you can see. The car does shimmy a little bit at lower speeds. For me, as a person who's trying to enjoy this experience as a whole, I don't mind it, and I don't think that this car feels less agile than the GT4, especially for the normal road conditions that we're driving this car in. In fact, Porsche has kept the suspension settings exactly the same as the GT4 in this car, which means that you can still drive dynamically, just with the roof down. So 0 to 100 kilometers per hour is dealt with in 4.4 seconds, which is very good. And despite the fact that Porsche have given us a manual roof, this car is still slightly heavier than its GT4 cousin. But again, that doesn't take away from the experience. What you do get in this car is this. There's something so incredible about hearing the 6-cylinder engine at the back like this with the roof down. It changes the whole experience of this car. And yes, it's still just as exciting as the GT4 is. So if I'm going to be honest, I really thought that this car was going to drive very similarly to the Cayman GT4. But it's actually quite amazing how Porsche have taken the same recipe, tweaked it ever so slightly, and you get a very different result. So you've got two cars that seem very similar, but actually speak to different clients. It's like same, but different. At the end of the day though, where would I spend my 1.8 million rand? Well, I do live in Johannesburg, and there's a thing called traffic, and based on that, I guess this car is the winner because I can use it all the time.